Welcome to JC TV Spotlight on the Arts. We're coming to you from the capital city of Missouri, that's Jefferson City, Missouri, endorsed by many artists and art lovers throughout the state and a few other states I've been tuning in. I'm your host, Rick Jey, and today I have a very special guest. I've been looking forward to having a chat with her before the cameras, under the bright lights. This artist, Bill Helvey of Columbia, Missouri, who's been around a long time. You probably have met Bill at an art show or along the way these past years. So please join me, if you will, in welcoming Mr. Bill Helvey.
Thank you.
Welcome, Bill. I'm truly excited to turn the spotlight on you, Bill, if I may call you by your first name.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about you and those highlights of your life that best describe Bill Helvey?
Well, Bill Helvey is a Missourian.
Total Missouri.
I was born in Springfield area, raised in Mount Vernon.
Oh, yes.
Grew up in a dairy farm.
Yes.
So I was a farmer for the first part of my life. And later on, completed high school, of course, went to college at SMS. Majored in art. From there, taught a few years in secondary school in Marshfield. Went on to EMU, got a graduate degree, have taught various places. And actually right here on this campus, I've spent a little over 2 decades just across the way here.
Here at Lincoln.
And here at
University.
Lincoln. So I've been in Jeff City for a long time, although I live in Columbia.
I see.
After I retired several years ago, I went back to work at Stevens College teaching drawing and painting.
In Columbia,
So
yes.
But I am retired totally now, devoted totally 100% to my art.
Oh, that's great. And your art speaks well for itself.
Thank you.
And for you. I know I've been following you ever since you was a presenter after my returning to Missouri from my past in Tucson, Arizona. And you were a presenter, and that's when
Yes.
I really fell in love with your arts and techniques, and photography for that matter.
Yes, I'm, I guess you would call me a multimedia artist because I like image making and photography, film, and the arts, which is drawing, painting, and watercolors.
Now, you were sharing with me before the show and our conversation that you have quite an extensive background in film, editing,
Yes.
art.
I haven't edited anything lately, but I have in the past probably edited 100 shows one way or another. And
Oh, wow. So I'm going to have to get you interested in the new Magix Vegas Pro.
Okay. Media 100 was my beginning.
Oh, my. Excellent.
Nonlinear editing.
Well, I'm sure the journalism class here at Lincoln will have, I can identify with that also. Well, Bill, can you reach deep and go way back? I see you back to the Monette, Mount Vernon, Pierce City, Missouri area, which I worked.
Yes.
And tell us
You know the area well, I can tell.
Yes, oh yes. What great memories there at 96 FM, rocking Southwest Missouri as far as radio.
Yes.
And so, well, what first inspired you to really become an artist? Was just part of the DNA? Or?
Well, you know, I was on a dairy farm and art wasn't part of the picture when you're dairying, raising cows, milking 24/7.
Oh my, yes.
So I really didn't get into art, I guess, until I was a senior in high school. I had one class, which was a fine arts credit for completing your 4-year degree.
Oh, I see.
Missouri has a fine arts credit. Anyway, did the art class and really enjoyed it. Had a nice first year, nice looking teacher that came out of SMS, and I said, gee, if that's what comes out of SMS, I'm going to go there.
I see. Oh, well, that was, I can identify with that.
But anyway, I went on to SMS, got an education degree in art, taught, and started from then on doing some of my own work as well as teaching.
Oh, I see.
And gradually I decided I'd rather do more of my art and less teaching. So that led to the graduate degree in art.
I see.
So I could kind of refine my skills, dig deeper into what I needed to do, and it worked out pretty well. The overriding career probably has been education, with the image making second.
I see.
And as I'm retired, the education is to a minimum. I still do workshops. I'm doing one this fall in photography.
Excellent.
With the Missouri State Teacher Association at Bunker Hill Resort. It's a weekend retreat.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
But actually, anybody's welcome, even for that class. It's a weekend of intensive creative photography.
Wow.
So,
well, that's great to share that. Well, you know, as I said earlier, I met and admired your works. There's Jefferson City Art Club as a presenter. Can you share with us your favorite medium as far as the artwork itself?
well, it depends which part of me is working at the time. If I'm out traipsing about the countryside, I'm probably a photographer.
I see.
And instead of my sketchbook sketching my images, I use my camera.
Ah.
So the pictures I take may stay as a fine art picture, but more often it is the background or maybe artworks in oils or watercolors.
Yes.
And I like watercolors really well, except when I have the mood to do something longer with more precise detail, I'll go with oils.
Excellent.
So I've done more watercolors, but oils are good too.
Well, I know you have a varied, extensive collection. What would you say is your favorite subject matter?
I've done a lot of figurative work, landscapes. Early in my career, I did a lot of abstracts. And when I was going to SMS in the 60s, abstract expressionism was the in thing. And so when I went to MU, I had to kind of regress and go back to realism because they were not teaching abstract expressionism here.
Right.
So I had to learn it all over.
I see. That's a kind of sort of surprises me because I've seen most of your work is more detailed in the landscape and animal types. So, but that's interesting. I know the Dom Center of Contemporary Art is just really amazing. So I kind of picture maybe some of that going on with you. Well, I want to thank you for being a part of the Runge Conservation Nature Center Spotlight on the Arts, as we call it, Calling to Nature's Art. That's currently at the Runge Center in Jefferson City, Missouri, and Bill is a part of that exhibition, so you can see his work face to face, you might say. So I want to thank you again, Bill, for being a part of that.
Thank you.
And so we'll go with that. Did you have anything specific you would want to share with us as far as inspiring a young artist?
Well, I have several things here I could show you. Talking about the subject matter we had a while ago, I have actually done two books, self-published, and they're on different subjects. This one is tractor fine art, and I like machines. That's one thing. I like airplanes, I like cars, trucks, and landscapes. So anyway, there's a variety of things there.
Yes.
And another one is cars, which I like cars.
Talk about detail. I know.
And there's watercolors, there's all kinds of things there. But these books are also available for anyone,
Okay.
and I can give you the address later if you wish.
Yes, we'll.
Volkswagens have been my favorite as far as the machine part.
See.
And I've probably done 60 or so Volkswagen paintings in various kinds.
And doing very well.
And the aviation I have, just to show you a little sample, there's probably a number of 50 or 60 of those I have done in oils and watercolors. And lately I've been using the airplane as sort of a subject to put into a large weather phenomenon, which might be good or bad depending on the atmospheric pressure or whatever. So it's just a little different take on things.
Very nice, yes. And here's the tractor.
And portraits have been something I've liked to do.
Oh, excellent.
And these are watercolors. This one was, or similar to it, was at the Jeff City Art Club's exhibit not too long ago.
Yes, very nice.
And another one is more Volkswagens, and I've done a lot of, these are watercolors, of course.
Well, the detail and the perspective, you know, when you're working with lines that have to match up in perspective, you can probably understand and appreciate that if you have a knack for that.
And I like the expressive,
yes.
expressive part of the color and the way the lines swirl, and it makes an interesting design.
I see. And plus your light control, the reflection on the hood and the bumper. So you really do a well.
Then an old
I see.
Model T.
Model T, yes, great.
And I don't remember what this is. This is in the photography realm. The other part of me is doing fine art photography. And I, of course, many moons ago, silver gelatin printing in a dark room, the old-fashioned putting in the trays and developing.
Right.
That's what this one is. So
it has
that was a forerunner of digital. So.
Yes, I guess. It does have that sort of an older look element as far as the, I don't know how to describe it exactly. It's definitely not an HD print, high definition, that you can tell it's the older, maybe a Brownie Hawkeye or something camera. But yes, that's really nice. I see again you're into the mechanics, and that is.
And this one, you're getting into the digital world, which is a scene directly across the river on a foggy morning.
Very nice.
With a bridge, with this foreground of some weeds,
And that's the one you had to capture. Well, Bill, let's take a break. After the break, we'll get back with Bill and learn how he arrives at a project theme, how he brings it together, and any techniques he might want to share with you or with us. So we'll be right back and find and learn more from Mr. Bill Helvey. Be right back.
Lincoln University of Missouri will and has been hosting its annual Farmers Market Saturdays. It had begun April 21st and will end October 6, 2018. Times are from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at Dickinson's Research Facility, 1219 Chestnut Street, Jefferson City, Missouri. For more information, contact Maria Isabel Jacome.
I wasn't always this good. I had a lot to learn. had to practice. And practice. And practice. Until one day, my dream came true. Sure, it wasn't easy, but it was worth it.
Welcome back, everyone. I continue with our special guest, Mr. Bill Helvey of Columbia, Missouri, an artist who is here with us today to give a view of his artworks through a window only you can see here on Spotlight on the Arts as far as this medium. So, Bill, you shared so much information before the break. Now I'd like to ask you to first explain, if you can, how you arrive at a project idea and what seems to inspire you in that quest for a completed project.
Well, as I'm retired now, I can take my time and come up with new things. But when I was working, and I can kind of share with other artists who have family pressures, work pressures,
Yes.
when do they take time to do their own art? And that's was the main issue for me for years. And what I tried to do was devote an hour a day to my art.
Oh, I see.
Now, it doesn't sound like much, but if you think of a year, there's 300 to 400 hours per year you could do in your art. So in terms of longevity, you can put a lot of material out just 1 hour a day. Take your little nook and go in a quiet place of your studio and work, and that's what I do. I try to go down every morning. I come up with some sort of idea, and if I'm without any ideas, what I will do is take some paper and start doodling.
I see.
And pretty soon something might start to gel, and a new idea would happen, and it just germinates from there.
So that's a good tip. Basically, you try to schedule that hour.
Right.
If nothing's working, you get the pen, a pencil out, and start sketching.
And sketching away. And at the end of your hour, you would be surprised how much you've accomplished. And at the end of a month, you have put together probably many, many things.
I see. I can imagine 1 hour a day, 30 days. Now, do you ever get into your photographs? And
I have a nice large selection of photographs I've done for over decades and decades, of which I can draw a lot of resource material, and that serves me probably 90% of the time. But more often anymore, I'm beginning to go in the abstract world and doing things that does not require actual things.
I see. Well, the abstract is a freedom, sort of.
Yes, you're able to.
I love detail. I like to work projects with a lot of detail, but I'm finding that just the abstracts, just letting it flow is much more relaxing. So I'm finding that I have to take a little time out for that, to really appreciate the finer detail work. It works both ways. Well, how long does it take you, let's say, to complete a project from a detail one or a watercolor?
Well, a watercolor, if I start in the morning, I have one done by noon.
I see.
Sometimes even before.
Oh, my.
And sometimes 2 a day.
Excellent.
And oil takes longer, of course, depending on what the subject is. And it could be a week, it could be 3 weeks, or even a month for a larger one. I did one not long ago, and you'll see it here in a little bit, which took maybe 6 weeks to do. But it's in oils, but I try to do it in terms of letting part of it dry, doing dry on dry, and I mean wet on dry.
Wet on dry.
Instead of wet and wet, which I normally do,
Right.
which goes faster, but this was a little different. And it's an oil of Elephant Rock State Park.
Oh, wow, that sounds interesting.
And it's done in an impressionistic style with dabs of color, using complementary yellows and purples.
Oh, awesome. That sounds like, I can't wait to see that one. Now, I see in your works, we call it layering. Do you layer a lot in your oils?
Not so much in oils, but I do in watercolor. I
see.
do wash upon wash and
Okay.
let them build up.
Which gives it definition,
And definition.
form, what have you. I can imagine that works both ways, I guess,
Oh,
in
yes.
oils and also in watercolor. And I have not worked with watercolor since about third
Watercolor
grade.
is
But
kind of unforgiving.
yes, I guess you could. It's not like it's in oils you can cover up and change. I'd imagine.
Yes,
that
you can do oils any way you want over and over again. But watercolor, once you put your color down, I mean, there's ways to doing it, but generally it's there,
Right.
good or bad.
Well, that sounds like it's a little bit intimidating. What would you say to one of our viewers if they was questioning you to inspire them to try out watercolors?
Well, I
in their art
guess the main
adventure?
thing I've done is experiment, try out different papers, different approaches, and preferably take a class or two and see what other people are doing.
Right.
It's kind of, you're getting ideas from many other people, and you can incorporate that into your own style, technique, whatever you want to do. And mostly just see what else is happening and try it. You never know.
So you definitely would encourage taking classes.
Oh, yes, yes.
And they're offered through a lot of different venues throughout the area, Columbia, Jeff City,
Yes,
Springfield.
that's the education part of me.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So I think that we learn from each other, and also a very good instructor. And like you say, you do.
Yeah, the
will
Jeff
be
City Art
instructing.
Club, I think, offers several
Yes.
all the time,
Yes,
and
they
I've
do.
taught a couple for them.
And Capital Arts.
And Capital Arts
on
have
Missouri Boulevard in
some, and
Jeff
of course
City.
Columbia has several. And another opportunity, if anyone's interested, is figure drawing sessions in Columbia. There's 3 of them per week, offered for anyone who wants to join in. So.
And do you have any websites or whatever, or can they?
It probably is, the best thing is just, I'll give you my email, and they can probably contact me, and I can give them
Okay, that
specific
would be
directions.
great. Why don't you go ahead and give us that at your email
Okay, the
address.
email address is B as in Bill, Helvey, Helvey, so it's bhelvey@aol.com.
Oh, super.
And then I have a website, which is really simple, it's helveyart.com.
helveyart.com. That sounds really simple enough. Great. Oh, say now, so we have those. Well, I'd like to then now ask you, I'm sure everyone has their favorite pieces. I always talk about on the show. I bet you have a few of yours, and we're surprised sometimes at their completion. Can you identify and share with some of those favorites and why they have become your favorites?
Well, in the,
So you have quite an
I got a few here in the photography part I want to show.
okay.
This is a silver gelatin of it's actually my grandmother,
Oh my.
taken when I was going to school at SMS. She died not too long afterwards, in the late 60s. But I value this photograph because it kind of shows her in her element, which is her kitchen.
Oh my, yes.
And the old-fashioned silver gelatin, and this is a sepia tone print.
Oh, okay, silver gelatin sepia tone print, which that's the older type formula of turning your celluloid into
Yes.
a print. Oh, go ahead.
And this is a digital one, but when you're traveling about in the state, I was going into California, Missouri one day around the square, and the Shamish guy was there next to his horse and carriage, but in the background was this big mural on the building with a flag and the battle during World War II. And I thought
Iwo Jima.
I thought it was a kind of a contrast of styles and living
Yes.
philosophies of the Amish versus
The,
patriotism, I guess.
Yes. And it's, as they say, a picture speaks 1,000 words. You can really get lost.
Yeah, so you
in
never know when you're going to find these
Yes.
little gems when you're traveling about. And of course, you've heard of Stonehenge. Well, this is Boathenge.
Boathenge.
And you probably have seen this
Yes.
before, and, which is in the area.
Yes. Cool.
And I've done a lot of photography.
Nice.
This is a scene from Rocky Falls, South Missouri, near Eminence, Missouri.
Yes. That would make
And
a great painting also.
so-
Wouldn't it? Nice.
And I've taken classes there, and it's just really, if you haven't been, it's really a good place to visit.
That's awesome.
Then on the way to that location one time, I was going through a little town just east of here, and the late sun was creating these shadows across the fence and the house, and it created a very abstract pattern of forms and tones, and it was really interesting, I thought.
That's definitely an abstract, a visual effect. Definitely
So, anyway.
excellent. But it takes a good eye to visualize something like that before you.
And then I've got a notebook which has a number of smaller things. But this is also an oil, which I have actually painted very few floral themes, but I do some from time to time, and this is one oil
That's
of
very
sunflowers.
nice. Sunflowers. That's almost abstract in a sense.
In
Would
a
you
sense,
call
in a sense it does, right.
Yes, I can see your abstract technique working there with the detail up front. Yes. Oh, excellent.
And this, on this side, is a scene from Colorado,
I see.
and using the oil technique with a variety of tints.
Oh, very
And
nice.
the one on the other side is a train with apples, with, again, I like shadows and way the sun creates these patterns.
I see, yes. I would never pick that up unless you'd mentioned it. But now, thinking abstract and reflections and shadow, excellent.
Anyway, the
still life.
light and shadow is number one probably in each painting.
Yes. And you have that under control.
And I don't remember what else is here, but
Oh, there's one of the
Yeah.
favorites. That's the fall scene.
and a fall scene, and that's in oils, and the other one is in watercolor.
Now you're talking Bill Helvey. Because I remember your automobiles and your barns, etc., and your nature scenes.
So that'll
from
give
your
you kind of a
presentation.
selection of things there.
Well, Bill, we certainly have covered a lot. Are you showing your works at any location besides the Runge Nature Conservation Center at
There
this
is
time?
quite a few. If you're in Columbia, on Keene Street, there's called the Keene Moon Clinic.
Okay.
It's a health facility, and I'm exhibiting there on 2 floors. So there's around 40 different things there,
Super. Okay. Well,
besides my website. So
yes. Okay. Excuse me. Well, Bill, I want to thank you for contributing to Spotlight on the Arts. It's been a real inspiring visit with you. So on behalf of the Spotlight on the Arts, I want to say thanks again. And
you're welcome.
sure look forward to seeing you in the art world. So thank you. And next here on Spotlight on the Arts, we'll turn to Ron Ferkel of Warrenton, Missouri. At Ben Missouri News, we'll be featuring artists Susie Cree Rogers of Jefferson City and Gary Cadwalder of Warrensburg. My thanks goes out to JCTV producer Gloria Enlow and crew. And thank you, our viewers, for joining us. Look for more Spotlight on the Arts right here on JCTV and on YouTube. I'm Rick Jey saying, see you next time.